What's up, horror fans? I'm the Master of Movies, Clay from the Hills Maniacs, and today I'm going to be going over the inconsistencies I found in Halloween 2018. So, obviously, with this being Halloween night, I figured why not go over inconsistencies that I found in the newest trilogy of Halloween movies, at least the start of it, because I did inconsistencies for the first Halloween movie, the original one back from 1978. So I figured I'd move on to this one and do this. And what a great way to end Halloween Week with the inconsistencies in Halloween 2018. So, for those of you that have never watched an inconsistencies video, basically what I do is I rewatch a movie, or movies, depending on whatever I do, and go through and write down things that don't make sense, or kind of like plot points that are never answered, that are kind of like, why is that in there, or even just things that are found, like maybe on the camera that's not supposed to be in the background or something, just little details and stuff like that, and kind of go through and figure that out. And I write it down so that I can talk about it in this. And this is not meant to like discredit any of the movies or say that any of the movies are bad or anything, because there's flaws in them, because everything has flaws in it, and I just do it for fun, just as something, because I like to just kind of really pay attention on after I rewatch a movie and kind of see this stuff. So this is not to like nag on the movie or anything, or say that it's a bad movie, because I actually kind of liked Halloween 2018. So let's get into this, and I'll just kind of go. Normally I go with like the last like the one that's not as important, and end with it, and end with the most important inconsistency I found in it. But what I think I'll do for this one is I'll just go down, because I have them written in the order that I see them, so I'll just read it right off the paper and just go from there. So the first one I want to talk about is, and if you haven't seen Halloween 2018, just a quick warning, there will be spoilers for it, and if you haven't seen it, why haven't you seen it? You probably should. And so if you have seen it, then you'll understand what I talk about when I talk about these references and things. But if you haven't, then you should probably go watch the movie before you watch this, otherwise you'll be confused. So at the beginning of the movie, they are getting ready to transport Michael Myers and other inmates from Smith Grove Sanitarium to another place. I think it was called like Glass Hill or something like that, which is basically just a place that they'll go until they die. But at Smith's Grove, they actually study them and everything else. So they're transferring Michael to this other place, and the first inconsistency comes with the question, why are they doing this? Because they should know better than to allow Michael to get out of the sanitarium. This is the first time he's been moved since 1978, when they captured him and brought him to Smith's Grove. So he's never had that opportunity to kind of leave. I mean, he could have. I don't know what happened over the 40-year period. He could have had a time to try to escape or whatever. But why would you risk somebody like Michael Myers getting out in the wild, basically, and allow him to escape? You should have just left him there, and just, even if you're not going to do any more research on him, just leave him there, because it's a lot safer than sending him to another place and risking him being on that bus ride. And then, of course, the worst happens during the trip. There are inconsistencies before this that I have written down, but I'll just go right into this because it happens next for the list, at least, to make sense. The bus crashes that's transporting these inmates, and all the inmates escape, and Michael ends up killing these two people, and the cops and stuff. And I guess they explain later that Michael broke free somehow and killed the one guard, and then killed the driver, and that's when the bus crashed, and then he escaped. It's never seen on the thing how it actually happened. And Dr. Sartain, who's basically the new Loomis, he was an apprentice of Dr. Loomis, and he's basically trying to save Michael in this movie. he's the one that says what happened. So I don't know if that's actually how it happened, or if that's just how he interpreted it as happening, or just him lying to the cops so that they wouldn't suspect maybe him or somebody else, allowing Michael to escape. But the next one, when a father and son come across the inmates walking across the road and stuff, the father goes out to look, and then the kid calls the cops, and they tell him to go see if there's any survivors or whatever. And he goes onto the bus, and Dr. Sartain just sits up, and he's like, "Don't shoot," and then the kid shoots him, because he's a kid and he's scared. But my question is, what happened to Sartain that he was just kind of sitting there on the bus? Like, why didn't he get up and escape? If he was able to sit up right at the time when the kid came on the bus, and the kid was being quiet, it's not like he came on screaming. So basically, Sartain was just kind of sitting there, and he just sits up and he's like, "Hey, don't shoot," and then the kid shoots him. But like, why didn't he get off the bus? Why are you just chilling there? He just literally just sitting on the bus. If he was knocked out, they didn't do a very good job of explaining what woke him up. Because the kid didn't, like I said, the kid didn't come on screaming and everything else. So like, or being loud. So like, what woke Sartain up if he was knocked out? And how convenient is it that he just happened to wake up at that point if he was knocked out? And then I also want to talk about the inconsistency for what happened to the rest of these patients that escaped on the bus when it crashed? Because we see them walking around in the street, kind of like a remnants of the first movie, when Dr. Loomis and the nurse that he was with end up going to Smith's Grove, and they see all the patients walking around, and Michael jumps on the car and takes her out of the car and stuff, and then ends up leaving in the car. But it was kind of like showing that again with all the inmates walking around and stuff. But we never hear like, oh yeah, they captured this inmate, or this inmate was found in the woods, or a group of inmates was found wherever. Like, they never bring it up that all these inmates escaped. And they talk about it on the news that the bus crashed and that the inmates escaped, but they never say what happened to them. Did they find them? They still just wandering around the world somewhere? I think they bring it up again in the second one, but this is just about the first one. So for this movie, without there being a sequel to it, it doesn't make sense that these patients are just now walking around. Like, I understand that your priority is going to be Michael Myers because it's Michael Myers, but you can still have somebody out looking for these insane people that are, mentally unstable, and they're now walking around this area. Like, you still need to be looking for them, even though Michael Myers is here. Like, you still have to find them too. And then we'll fast forward a little bit in the movie to after Michael goes and kills some people, gets his mask back, because convenience, he has to always get the mask back, and he goes into Haddonfield, which is where the first one took place and where most of the Halloween movies that aren't canon anymore took place. Haddonfield, Illinois. So he goes to Haddonfield on Halloween night, like always, and he just chooses some random lady's house, grabs a hammer out of her garage door that's just open. I know I leave my garage door open. So her garage door was just open. He goes in, grabs a hammer, goes into her house, and beats her to death with the hammer while she's trying to eat a sandwich. Just let the lady eat a sandwich, Michael. Come on. And then goes and luckily doesn't kill the baby. Walks out the front door, leaving the door open, and just walks out down the sidewalk in front of a bunch of people. So you're going to tell me that not one of her neighbors noticed this dude walking out of her house? Not one person noticed that all these people outside, because it's trick-or-treat and all these kids running around and all these adults with them and stuff, not one person noticed this creepy dude in a bluish, like, what is it, work thing, outfit thing, and a white mask. Nobody noticed that he's walking out of there. I mean, they could have thought maybe it was her husband or something, like, because it is Halloween, so I guess that makes sense, but they didn't even stop to be like, oh, who's that, or hey, cool costume, or whatever. Like, nobody even paid any attention to it. Great community you got here. And then he goes to another lady's house just randomly. She's on the phone talking to somebody. They said that, I don't know if they told her that Michael escaped or if the people from the sanitarium escaped. So she's like, all right, I'll lock my door and blah, blah, blah. And during Michael's walking around the house, he comes in the back door and he kills her. That's it. That's all she was in the movie for. Like, there's no point. Because it's just like a random thing that, like, he had no reason to go kill this lady. He could have just went. It wasn't even like she was in the Myers house, like his old house. It was just like the house next door to where he just got the knife from. Because he killed the lady with the hammer and then took a knife from her house and then went and used it to kill the other lady. I mean, I know it's Michael Myers and he just killed random people anyways, but most of the time, it's people that get in his way while he's trying to get to his main target, which is usually Laurie Strode, or her friends, or just random babysitters, which we also see here. There's a little kid named Julian who's being watched by one of Allison's friends, Vicky, and Allison is Laurie Strode's granddaughter, and her friend Vicky is babysitting this kid, and Michael just goes to this kid's house and kills Vicky and her boyfriend. Just, all random house, just all these random houses in Haddonfield. None of them are the Myers house that I know of. I mean, it could have been, I don't know, but nothing. He's just like, oh, I'll just go in this house. This lady's babysitting. I'll just go in here and kill her because she's babysitting somebody. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I get that it's not supposed to make sense and Michael just goes on a killing spree. That's fine. But these are just like 3 random houses that don't play any part in the plot of the movie whatsoever, other than the fact that he's going on a killing spree again in Haddonfield. That's basically it, because Laurie doesn't live in Haddonfield anymore. So, he's in Haddonfield looking for Laurie. I guess he finds out that Laurie doesn't live in Haddonfield, because he doesn't find her. So I would assume, he'd kill everybody in Haddonfield till he found Laurie, because he didn't find her there. I don't know. And then he's in a field, and he tries to kill Allison, and a friend that she's with. He does kill a friend that she's with. And then he starts chasing her, and he gets run over, and then Dr. Sartain stabs the cop, and this whole sequence thing happens. And then I guess the last one I want to talk about is, there's 2 more. The first one is when they run over Michael, they put him in the back of the cop car because Dr. Sartain goes psychotic and stabs Hawkins, who's the same cop from the first one. And they take him to Laurie's house, or close to it at least, before Michael wakes up. But he wakes Michael up, and Michael puts the mask back on, and then looks over at Allison, who's in the back seat with him, and he kills Dr. Sartain. I guess my question is, why didn't Michael also kill her? Like, he could have killed her first, and then killed Dr. Sartain, because Dr. Sartain wasn't going to run from him. And she ends up escaping and running to her grandmother's house, over the river, through the woods type of thing. And, I don't know, like, he just let Allison live. He was literally sitting, like, this close to her. He could have just very easily, like, force choked her or something. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe his mythical powers told him not to kill her because she's the granddaughter of Laurie Strode and she'll play a part in the next 2 movies, so you got to keep her alive. Other than that, like, I don't know why else she would have been kept alive. But they just kind of, it was just weird that, like, he's just like, yeah, I got her over here, I got him up there. Let's just kill him. He's farther away, I can push the seat up and kill him, but I'll let her escape when I get out of the car to finish killing him. I don't know. And then the last one, Laurie, Karen, her daughter, and Allison, her granddaughter, all go down inside Laurie's little bunker thing she has up under her table in the kitchen, and they're all hiding down there. Well, Allison's not there yet. It's Laurie and Karen, I think, at this point still, before Allison comes running in later on. But they're down in the basement with guns and stuff, and they hear Michael walking around, so Laurie shoots up through the floor to tell Michael that, hey, we're down here. I mean, she might have been trying to lure him down there, to trap him in there, but it didn't work, and he ends up going upstairs and fighting against her, and then they end up eventually getting him down in the basement. Maybe that's why she shot, to tell him that they were there, but from a looking at it from like my perspective, like why would you tell him where you're at? But then, I mean, until you find out later on in the movie that it's a trap for Michael, it doesn't make sense. But then once you realize that, you're like, oh, well, that's why she did it. But I still counted it on here because for a good amount of time, we're like, why would you do that? Why would you tell him that? Because then he comes back downstairs later after he throws Lori out a window. And she disappears like he did, and he breaks the table and it stands at the top of the steps because he knows where they are now. So I guess it was part of the plan. It just didn't make sense until the end of the movie. So it is kind of answered at the end of the movie, but I still included it just for this. And then also I did kind of want to just throw this in. Why not kill Michael? Also, because they set the whole house on fire after they trap him in the basement, but why not also like because I think they still had a gun upstairs, at least Lori did, I think. Why not go get it and shoot him in the head or something, make sure that he's dead instead of just setting him on fire, because he ain't dead, trust me, he ain't gonna be dead from that. And obviously he's not, there's 2 more movies. But so spoiler alert, Michael Myers doesn't die, because there's 2 more movies. You should probably know that, but whatever. So anyways, guys, there you go. That's all the inconsistencies I found in Halloween 2018. Overall, I liked the movie. I thought it was a good sequel to the original, because everything after the original Halloween is no longer canon. This is I think the 7th timeline that they've made for movies. So it goes Halloween, the original one from 1978, and then skips 40 years into the future for Halloween 2018. So as a good sequel to it, I kind of liked it. I like that they give a lot of Laurie's backstory in this, at least just talking about it, not necessarily showing it. And then they talk about what she's basically been doing and thinking about for the last 40 years while Michael was incarcerated at Smith's Grove. So I did kind of like it. The sequels were, whatever. But overall, I did like Halloween 2018. Let me know if you want to see inconsistencies for Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. If you want to see inconsistencies for the other 85 Halloween movies that they have that aren't canon anymore, and it's just anything else you want to see an inconsistencies video for, check out everything else we did for Halloween Week, these last couple of videos. And stay tuned for what else we got going on this channel. And remember, leave the scumbaggery at home, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Happy Halloween.